If you're getting Social Security payments, something changed this month that could be hitting your bank account right now. And if you're planning for retirement, this affects your future benefits too. I'm talking about policy shifts that started rolling out in June 2025, and the numbers might surprise you. Here's what's happening. Trump's administration implemented Social Security adjustments that they say will strengthen the program for future generations. But depending on your situation, you might be seeing less money, or you might actually be seeing more. The devil is in the details, and those details matter for millions of Americans. So let's cut through the political noise and look at the actual numbers. Who's getting affected, by how much, and what this means for your financial planning. First, let's establish what we're dealing with. Social Security was already facing a funding crisis before any of these changes. The 2024 Trustees Report showed that without reforms, the trust fund would be depleted by 2034, leading to automatic benefit cuts of about 20% across the board. Trump campaigned on saving Social Security, but his approach is different from what many expected. Instead of raising the contribution cap or increasing payroll taxes, his administration went with what they call targeted efficiency measures. The changes that went into effect this June fall into three main categories: means testing for higher earners, accelerated retirement age adjustments, and modified cost of living calculations. According to the Social Security Administration's June bulletin, approximately 12 million beneficiaries will see some level of change to their payments. Let me break down what's actually happening, starting with the biggest change, means testing. If you're receiving Social Security and your total household income exceeds $150,000 annually, your benefits are now subject to what they're calling a prosperity adjustment. This affects about 8% of Social Security recipients. They're looking at your total household income, your spouse's earnings, investment income, pension payments, everything. If that total hits $150,000, your Social Security benefits get reduced by 15%. If it hits $200,000, the reduction jumps to 25%. The Social Security Administration estimates this change affects roughly 5.2 million beneficiaries. If you're in this group, you probably got a letter in May explaining the adjustment, and you saw the change in your June payment. The second major change involves the retirement age timeline. Social Security's full retirement age was already scheduled to gradually increase from 66 to 67 for people born after 1960. Trump's policy accelerates this timeline. Under the old schedule, if you were born in 1963, your full retirement age would be 67. Under the new timeline, it's now 67 and 2 months. If you were born in 1965, it jumps to 67 and 6 months. This doesn't affect current retirees, but if you're in your late 50s or early 60s, your retirement math just changed. Here's a real example. Sarah is 62 and was planning to take early retirement next year at 63. Under the old rules, she'd get about 75% of her full benefit. Under the new rules, that percentage drops to 72%. For someone expecting $1,800 per month, that's a difference of about $54 monthly, or $648 per year. The third change is more subtle but potentially significant long-term. They've modified how cost of living adjustments are calculated. Previously, COLAs were based on the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners. The new formula uses what's called the chain CPI, which typically runs about 0.3 percentage points lower than the traditional CPI. That might not sound like much, but compound that over decades and it adds up. The Center for Retirement Research at Boston College calculated that someone retiring today could see their benefits eroded by about 6% over a 20-year retirement under this formula. Let's get specific about who's seeing changes and who isn't. If you're currently receiving Social Security and your household income is under $150,000, you're probably not seeing any changes to your monthly payments right now. The means testing doesn't affect you, and the retirement age changes only apply to future retirees. If you're a higher income retiree, you're dealing with the means testing reduction. Here's the basic math. If your household income is $175,000, you're looking at a 15% reduction in benefits. If you are getting $3,000 per month, that drops to $2,550, a reduction of $450 monthly, or $5,400 annually. If you're between 55 and 65 and haven't retired yet, you're facing a different timeline for full retirement benefits. The closer you are to your original retirement date, the bigger the impact. If you're under 55, these changes become part of your long-term retirement calculations, but you have time to adjust your savings and planning accordingly. Let me walk through some real-world scenarios to show how this plays out. Meet Robert and Linda Chin. Robert is 68, retired, and receives $2,800 monthly from Social Security. Linda is 65, still working part-time as a consultant, earning about $40,000 per year. They also have investment income of about $120,000 annually from their retirement savings. Their total household income is around $160,000, putting them just over the $150,000 threshold. Robert's Social Security benefits are now reduced by 15%, dropping from $2,000 to $2,380 monthly. That's a reduction of $5,040 per year. The Chins aren't struggling financially, but they had budgeted for that $2,800 monthly. Now they're reconsidering some travel plans and thinking about Linda working more hours. Now consider Maria Rodriguez. She's 61, planned to retire at 66, and was expecting about $2,200 monthly in Social Security benefits. Under the new retirement age rules, her full retirement age moved from 66 to 66 and 4 months. She can still retire at 66, but her benefits will be reduced because she'll be retiring before her new full retirement age. Instead of $2,200, she'll get about $2,090 monthly, a difference of $110 per month, or $1,320 per year. Maria's deciding whether to work those extra 4 months or accept the reduced benefits. For someone in a physically demanding job, those extra months matter. Trump's team argues they're making Social Security more sustainable without raising taxes. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has been making the case that these targeted adjustments will extend the trust fund solvency by approximately 8 years. The administration points to means testing systems in other countries. Australia, for example, has an age pension that phases out for higher income retirees. They argue it's more equitable to focus limited resources on people who need them most. But critics, including AARP and many Democratic lawmakers, argue this fundamentally changes Social Security's nature as a universal program. The whole point of Social Security, they say, was that it wasn't welfare, it was an earned benefit that everyone contributed to and everyone received. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimates that these changes will reduce Social Security's long-term deficit by about 15%. That's meaningful, but it still leaves a substantial gap that will need to be addressed. If you're affected by these changes, here are your practical options. For current retirees facing means testing, look at your income sources. Can you shift some investment income to tax-deferred accounts? Can you time withdrawals from retirement accounts to stay under the threshold in some years? A financial planner might help you optimize your income streams. For near retirees dealing with age changes, recalculate your retirement timeline. Can you work those extra months to reach your new full retirement age? Does it make sense to delay retirement even further to get delayed retirement credits? For younger workers, these changes should factor into your retirement planning. You might need to save more, or plan to work longer, or both. The earlier you adjust, the easier it is to absorb these changes. For everyone, stay informed. Social Security policy continues to evolve, and these might not be the last changes. Here's my take on where this goes from here. These changes buy time, but they don't solve Social Security's long-term funding problem. We're still looking at a trust fund depletion sometime in the 2040s, just pushed back a few years. That means more changes are coming, whether it's higher payroll taxes, further benefit adjustments, or some combination. The political sustainability of means testing is questionable. If higher earners see their benefits cut while still paying the same payroll taxes, they might push for broader changes to the system. So, are you affected by Trump's Social Security cuts that hit in June? The answer depends on your specific situation, but millions of Americans are seeing changes to either their current benefits or their future retirement timeline. If you're a higher income retiree, you're probably seeing smaller monthly payments right now. If you're approaching retirement, your full retirement age might have shifted. And if you're planning for the future, your cost of living adjustments will be slightly smaller over time. The bigger picture is that Social Security is changing from a universal program to something more targeted. Whether that's good policy depends on your perspective, but it's definitely a shift worth understanding. Check your Social Security statement, run the new calculators, and adjust your planning accordingly. And remember, this probably isn't the end of Social Security reforms, it's likely just the beginning of a longer conversation about how we fund retirement security in America. What do you think about these changes? Are they fair adjustments or fundamental alterations to a program that's worked for generations? Let me know in the comments below.